Good afternoon, Whitby Presbyterian Church. A wise man once said, in times of stress, the best thing that we can do for each other is to listen with our ears and with our hearts, and to be assured that our questions are just as important as our answers. That man, by the way, is named Mr. Rogers. And he knows a thing or two about life because the reaction that he encourages for stress, and he's really talking about that big stress, the systemic stress, the global stress, the large scope stress, the corporate stress that we feel sometimes. But his reaction to stress is really great. His reaction is to reach out to other people. First off, for our own stress, it can be helpful to have a moment to put things into perspective with listening to someone else's concerns. But maybe more importantly than even that, he's encouraging us to have the impulse to reach out and care for someone else in their stress. He's encouraging us to put their needs ahead of our own needs. Their need is to be heard, to have a sounding board, to have a friend, to have someone with them, to have companionship. He's encouraging us to put their needs ahead of our own, not by throwing money at issues or simply for praying for them, but by offering the gift of ourselves. And that gift is just being a listening ear and a listening heart. And it isn't the kind of listening that we most often do when we're really just kind of waiting for our turn to speak. It's the kind of listening that's so rare in the world and in our lives. Listening with both our ears and our hearts, listening for the sake of the one talking, listening because the other person has real value, listening with compassion. And thankfully, Mr. Rogers even gives us a tip on how to do that. It's by being assured that our questions are just as important as any answer that we could ever provide them. By asking questions, like real questions, not the kind of questions that just kind of change the subject, but the probing kind of questions, the what feeling does that give you questions, and the how have you been releasing your stress questions. Those questions open up real relationship and real hope. Unless you think Mr. Rogers gets this piece of wisdom out of thin air, let me remind you that this is a deeply biblical concept as well. The whole notion of caring for others in this way, by putting their needs ahead of our own, is deeply vital to Jesus' ministry and what he teaches. And beautifully, Paul writes in Galatians, "Bear one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." In times of stress, the best thing we can do is to listen with our ears and with our hearts, and to be assured that our questions are just as important as our answers. And so, until next time, peace be with you.